everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Globecast. This is host Moonlight. Today we have Eddy with us, who is a pioneer investor for blockchain. He is also the CEO of Coinsilium. And if you guys are happy with today's content, or if you'd like to hear us talk to more pioneer or elites in the industry, please stay tuned, give us a thumb up, subscribe to the channel, or leave a comment down below. So welcome, Eddy, welcome. Would you mind giving us a brief introduction of yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for inviting me. So, as you said, my name is Eddy Travia. I have been in this space since 2013, and I'm the CEO of Coinsilium Group Limited, which is a company with shares trading in London and New York. And I'm also the regional director, Asia Pacific, of a joint venture that we have with Coinsilium and IOV Labs called IOV Labs Asia.
Brilliant. And you mentioned that you joined the industry really early on in 2013. And I know that you were nominated among top 3 most influential investors of the year at blockchain in 2014. So, could you see yourself making this far in the industry by then? So early on, when everything was so fresh and not as known much by people as it is now?
Well, I mean, it has been a great journey for sure. In 2013, the community was pretty small, so I must put that into context. It was very easy at the time to meet a lot of the entrepreneurs in the space, the founders of projects and teams, and we were basically, myself and some partners, we were extremely excited to talk to as many entrepreneurs as we could, as many founders in this space, and we were extremely active. So at the time, the sky was the limit. It was a lot of fun. And for me, it was a bit reminiscent of the late 1990s. I was obviously younger then, but I was also, for a short amount of time, I was an entrepreneur in the internet space. And it reminded me a lot of that, the dynamic back then.
Thanks for sharing with us. And I'm sure after overcoming so much barriers and, starting off fresh, everything kind of came to more on track. So what is the idea behind funding Coinsilium, and what services do you guys offer?
So early on in 2013, we decided to create an incubator, and the idea was to support Bitcoin entrepreneurs all over the world. There was no real geographical limitations for us. So we started talking to entrepreneurs in Latin America, US, of course, Asia, Europe, and it was Australia as well. It was very interesting, and we were talking to many entrepreneurs every day. And the interesting part as well is that we started investing in Bitcoin, which was great on the way up and not so great on the way down, price-wise, for the recipients. But it was an interesting experience. But obviously, we stopped investing in Bitcoin after that. But it was quite fun. In 2014, we started talking with our future partners out of London. Started traveling there, and actually, it was quite a travel-intensive industry very early on. A lot of events everywhere starting coming out. It was a great time to meet a lot of the entrepreneurs that are, let's say, much more famous today than they were at the time. So in London, we decided, why not try to list on a stock exchange? And the idea was mainly to, first of all, provide some exposure to this space to the market. We knew that there was going to be a very heavy kind of educational effort to be made. And that was definitely the case, because it took us 1 year to speak to a lot of brokers, lawyers, corporate advisors, and nominated advisors, which are kind of the interface between the stock exchange and the listed companies. We did that, and eventually we managed to list. We're the first company to IPO in the blockchain space in London in December 2015. We invested in various companies, and we basically continued to invest. And then Coinsilium became an advisor when the ICO cycle started. So in 2017, towards the end of 2017, I was approached by a few projects. Some of them are doing well today, like, for example, Icon, which is a well-known project in the blockchain space today. So I was an advisor early on of this type of projects. And we realized that this could become actually a quite interesting activity for Coinsilium. And so we had a great year in 2018. We had a great year because we were advisor to many successful ICOs. I would say overall, they probably raised more than $500 million. And therefore we get some, let's say, payments for our services in crypto mainly. Sometimes, of course, part of that was in the actual ICO token, and that became basically our crypto treasury. We built our crypto treasury through providing services and generating revenues. Of course, that took a bit of a dive when the ICO hype cycle stopped, which was around the end of 2018, mid 2018, end of 2018, and therefore after that, in 2019, we started looking at new sectors. And in 2020, we realized that DeFi was a very interesting sector for us. So we started looking at that more carefully. And that came into later investments, but also we started looking at NFTs as well, which is kind of our focus now, really, DeFi and NFTs, which of course is also has become now quite important trends in the sector.
Interesting. I know you yourself is also an NFT collector. And I can definitely imagine how long the journey has, come so far, from such high effort in educating people and informing people what is blockchain, when it was basically barely known by anyone, and until now it's such a hot trending word. And so what services do you guys offer now, right now?
Well, right now we have a new activity which is more like a venture builder. So it's not directly a service, but it's more something we would like to do in conjunction with entrepreneurs. So basically building ventures together. Of course, we support our portfolio companies, some of which became quite large, like IOV Labs, for example, of which I'm also a director in Asia through this joint venture. So that's one part. The other part is in the NFT space. We created an NFT development studio in Gibraltar. So now we have an office in Gibraltar, and we have a few companies there. So we are quite present in that part of the world. Our chairman is there, and IOV Labs also is set up in Gibraltar. And so we set up an NFT tech development studio in conjunction and in partnership with one of our portfolio companies from Singapore called Indoors, which incidentally just issued a blockchain game, working on a blockchain game, and is issuing right now an NFT collection as well. We are not, Coinsilium is not set up as a tech company. We are set up more as an investment company and as a supporter of our portfolio companies. So, but now we're developing this service in the NFT space.
You mentioned about RF Open Finance and as well as RSK blockchain. So what exactly are them and what's good about them?
So when we did the IPO back in 2015, the first investment we made post IPO was in RSK. So RSK is a very interesting platform because it's not like a completely new platform. It's actually a side chain to Bitcoin. And in that sense, it means that the layer 2 Bitcoin that you have on that side chain, which is called RBTC, is actually merge mined with Bitcoin. So the same miners that protect and secure the Bitcoin network are securing the RBTC and the RSK sidechain through this tremendous hashing power, right? That's basically the premise. But then you have on top of that, on the sidechain, because it's EVM compatible, it means you can build the same smart contracts that you build on Ethereum and other EVM compatible platforms, which means you can do DeFi, you can have oracles feeding data to the smart contracts. You can do identity solutions, storage solutions, feeding data, for example, on IPFS or Swarm, etc. So you have really as an EVM compatible blockchain, but on top of that, it is secured by Bitcoin. And this layer 2 Bitcoin means you can actually interact with Bitcoin without having to go through a centralized wrapping mechanism, for example. The other interesting part is what you were mentioning. It's RIF, which stands for RSK Infrastructure Network, which we call RIF. So RIF is also a token, the token of this kind of economy of the RSK, different RSK solutions, such as identity, storage, communications, etc. Right now, it is being built on this network, on this side chain, a complete ecosystem of DeFi applications, and soon NFT marketplaces and NFT solutions as well, which we are building with Nifty Labs.
Interesting, and we can literally see so much. We are so excited to see what the future holds for RIF as well as RSK. And I know yourself also associate with seed funding a lot. So how much normally is seed funding, and who is normally the founder and who receive the funds?
Yes, well, obviously, seed funding is an activity that has been going on for a long time, although probably tied a lot with technology, different technological waves, let's say. For example, seed funding existed before the 90s with the internet startups, but I guess became much more prevalent and much more used in the 1990s with internet startups. And then I remember the first famous angel investors came up, and the first what we call angel investor syndicates, where actually people could make a lot of money by investing small amounts in startups that some of them became Google, Facebook, and so forth. So obviously these were like the star companies of the early 2000s. But I guess seed investment today is extremely popular, and as well anyone is basically can do it. It's usually the first round of a startup. When we started Seedcoin, so the pre-Coinsilium era, the idea was actually to seed, to incubate and to seed Bitcoin startups. Then with Coinsilium, we get a bit more capital, so we started investing not only in startups, sometimes a little bit more established companies as well. And right now, we still look at seed funding, but our latest rounds are a bit higher. So seed funding today can go from anywhere from I don't know, $10,000 to $100,000, let's say, per investor. And the normal seed round, which would be around $250,000 normally. I mean, of course, it depends on the geography. If you're in California, probably in Silicon Valley, it can be a little bit higher because there is more capital available, and if you are in the hot sector, it might be easier to raise a bit more. But let's say around the world, it's usually around these levels. So as I was saying, now we are investing in more established companies, and therefore our rounds are a bit larger as well.
Thank you. Thanks for elaborating on, seed funding. And I know it depends. It does depend on, like you mentioned, geographical regions, locations, as well as maybe if you want to invest as one individual or as a collective kind of group. And I know like Coinsilium earlier on this year had invested in and partnered with Greengage Global with like a total of like £500,000. So what's the idea behind it? What kind of impact has it brought?
What really triggered our interest in Greengage is the fact that they are building crypto finance solutions, and solutions that can be actually compared to DeFi, let's say, but in a regulatory environment and a regulated context. Because what happens is we follow DeFi quite closely, and I from the beginning. So let's say in the early 2020, then in the spring we start really seeing the total value locked on this platform starting to grow very quickly. But of course, what is very important is that DeFi is obviously decentralized. And at the moment, you can do transactions of millions of dollars without revealing your identity. It's all through your wallets, right? Usually browser plugin wallets, right? So we anticipate that this is, unfortunately, maybe, but this is not going to be available to everyone forever. For obvious reasons. I mean, regulators are not going to let DeFi products be available in their jurisdictions for a long time. We start seeing some pressure on that. I mean, the SEC has responded negatively to Coinbase when it tried to do its coin lending program. The SEC has outlined other DeFi players, and now we recently see that the SEC wants to be the regulatory body of the stable coins like USDT. And stable coins are extremely important in DeFi. A lot of the trade, a lot of the collateral, a lot of the cryptocurrency being borrowed and lent are stable coins. So in that sense, it is extremely important for us to take a position early on in a sector which we believe will grow, which is regulated DeFi in a way, or regulated crypto finance, where you still have some of the great benefits of this very liquid market, which basically are high yields, and it's also a very flexible market where you can do a lot of freedom to the type of products that are created, a lot of creativity, financially speaking, financial models, financial strategies, and so forth, but in a regulated environment, because we feel that's going to happen. And therefore, we wanted to take an early position there. And Greengage is extremely well positioned because they already actively involved, they already have clients, and also they started to apply for a banking license in Gibraltar, which to us makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I know there are loads of regulations going on around the world, not just in Asia, but also in US recently. So has these kind of new jurisdictions and regulations affected Coinsilium or the whole community?
So yes, regulations has always been a primary concern for crypto companies. As I was saying early on in our conversation, when we started in 2013, we were already helping Bitcoin startups with regulations. It was, of course, essential for any crypto trading activity and crypto exchanges or remittance companies and so forth. And regulation has stayed extremely important for all these companies. No company in crypto can easily succeed without a proper regulatory approach. So we see that as an important element of any strategy of any of these crypto companies. And at the same time, we try to anticipate where this is going. And unfortunately, until now, it has been going to kind of stricter rules. But as you were saying, there are different jurisdictions, and different jurisdictions have different approaches. So, for example, that's why we have subsidiaries in Gibraltar as well, is because we feel that Gibraltar has taken the correct approach to it, what we call a principled approach to regulating crypto companies. And that's why it attracted quite large ones as well, many well-known exchanges. I've moved their headquarters to Gibraltar, so we're very happy to be there. Yeah! And yes, and in that regard, we certainly hope that Greengage will be eventually successfully attributed a banking license, and I think we'll have a thriving business out of that jurisdiction.
Yeah, surely you will do. And you mentioned about many portfolio companies, and I'm aware that as many portfolio of blockchain, DeFi, and crypto finance in general, startups jumping in the value of alongside the surge of investor interest in cryptocurrency and NFTs. So how have this kind of boom been driving Coinsilium moving forward?
It represents a lot of opportunities, and of course it has created a lot of opportunities to our portfolio companies. I mean, a lot of the value of Coinsilium is in its portfolio, and the portfolio company's value is doing well because of the sector overall, the growth in interest by adoption in general, growing adoption in general of cryptocurrency. The fact that now even banks from central banks are interested in cryptocurrency, either to create their own or to acquire crypto. Even countries like El Salvador has recently announced that they are endorsing Bitcoin as legal tender in their country, and therefore creating a lot of business opportunities for wallets, for different type of crypto companies there, some of which are actually working with on RSK technology. And yes, so overall we see increased trading, increased volumes, and a lot of interest from various institutional players as well. Many large corporates, large funds like Fidelity, large corporations like MicroStrategy and others have bought a lot of cryptocurrency and are at least they're saying they want to hold on to it. And that reassures on the user side. At the same time, NFT has really created a kind of new connection with tokens. So we are in a process of tokenization, let's say, which is really fueling this global adoption, because until NFTs, it was really a monetary, financial usage of crypto, plus, of course, some blockchain applications. So a very technical type IT infrastructure type of applications. But now with NFTs, you can have artwork, you can have your favorite artist album or your favorite artist video clip on an NFT, and that creates a very different type of connection. You have a fan relationship, more than just a business or speculative relationship. So that, I think, is very interesting, and will again takes us into a new wave of crypto adoption. And there are exciting opportunities in NFTs and DeFi even combined. So you start having fractional NFTs, you start having NFT vaults. There are many interesting concepts out there.
Yeah, it's all about being like resilient, and moving forward as the market trends constantly change. And we are all aware that NFT right now is like associating with real estate. Do you have any comment on this? Do you reckon this is only like a short-term kind of trend where it's like there is future investment in it?
Well, I hope it's not a short-term trend, because what we have seen is that anything that was short-term in the beginning has been replaced by longer-term models until now in crypto. So what seemed a little bit crazy in 2013 or 14 may seem perfectly reasonable today. So it's always a question of time, right? So real estate, there have been many attempts before to tokenize real estate, and there are many approaches. So we can talk about the securitization process, whereby the shares of a real estate fund becomes a kind of token, and therefore you have a combination of securities and tokens. So we usually call those security tokens. It's kind of securitization plus digitalization. That's really the process that I see. The other process, of course, if you really try to tokenize the asset itself, which is a bit more complicated legally, but could be done if the different authorities and government administrations agree. I guess that could be done as well. But real estate in terms as an asset class. I mean, I don't have the latest number. I have an old number, which is 270 trillion, but that's already from 2016, so that's a bit far. I would say it's probably much more than that. It could be at least a third more than that. So we're talking about one of the largest asset classes in the world, real estate. And so I hope that there will be many experiments and many new models in that space. And hopefully one will stick and people will like it and will be seen as solving some issues for all the parties. So yeah, I think it has legs if it fits with the market.
Yeah, that's rather exciting. And just to close up the interview, it's been 8 years since you joined the crypto sphere. So what changes have you noticed in the society? And is there like any future vision on Coinsilium or just yourself and in crypto space in general?
Well, yes, obviously a lot of things have happened in the last 8 years. I mean, it's obviously much easier now to talk and to be taken seriously by major players in the space, because in 2013 we were trying to open closed doors, and it was very frustrating because there was not much awareness. In 2016, for example, I was in the audience of a World Mobile Congress in Barcelona. There were the top CTOs of the top telecom companies around the world, like AT&T and other famous telecom companies. And I raised my hand and I asked a question about blockchain, and none of the CTOs wanted to answer. I mean, I believe that most of them didn't know about it. And maybe someone knew, maybe didn't want to talk about it because it was still seen a bit controversial at the time. So in terms of awareness, we are at a place now where institutions, central banks, very large entities know about cryptocurrencies, know about blockchain, and are taking it much more seriously. And therefore, that opens a lot of doors for us because, we have been in this sector for a long time. I mean, Coinsilium as well. Of course, Coinsilium has a network of entrepreneurs, developers, founders, and contacts in this space, which we can really leverage when new opportunities come, like, for example, DeFi and NFTs these days. So yeah, in this regard, we see a very bright future in the sense that we can start leveraging all this. We have a nice crypto treasury now, of course, and we have exciting things to come. I mean, I look at opportunities like the metaverse, play to earn, blockchain gaming. general applications about NFTs as well in various sectors. So yeah, we feel that all this is very exciting.
Yeah, there's still so much more to explore, and we can, create the bright future together. And if anyone, in front of the screen is interested, please get in touch with us, and we will have all the social handles down below linked for Eddy as well and Coinsilium. Please feel free to get in touch.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us today, Eddy, and thanks so much for sharing all of the experiences, your insights with crypto. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and thanks, guys, for joining us. Bye for now.